Trench work.
You tuning in to Southern Girl Denise. Hey, you tuning in to Southern Girl Denise. Hey, I'm the host of the Not So Christian in Me Show. I'm the host of the Not So Christian in Me Show.
You're listening to the all-new Blessed Beats Radio, and you're tuned into the Not So Christian in Me Show, the show that is faith-based, edgy, and funny, where we let everything out on the table without shame and a no-judgment zone, so that we are able to help each other be better Christians. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise.
And I'm your co-host, Kyra Harris.
And I'm your co-host, OBJ Elba.
What's up, you guys? You guys are tuned into the Not So Christian in Me Show. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise.
And I'm your co-host, Larry Scott. As usual, we have another great show lined up for you guys today.
That's right, Larry. We have the honor in having our first Democratic candidate for Harris County 334 Civil District Court Judge, Miss Dawn Rogers, in the building. How you doing, Miss Dawn?
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm doing great.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being our guest. We're so excited to have you.
I was in here dancing to that little introduction. I enjoyed that introduction beat.
I didn't know you could see the introduction because some people can see it.
I can hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad you were able to hear it. Yeah. Now, before we get started, we always ask our guests to play a little game just to get them warmed up. So today's game is 2 truths and 1 lie. So basically, you'll tell us 2 truths and 1 lie, and we will have to guess which one is the lie.
Okay. So now you're gonna try test my truth telling skills, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm such an honest person. This may be difficult for me. Let me see.
Okay.
2 truths, 1 lie. So I actually, when I was in college, I had an opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. And participate in a mock trial competition. It was a national mock trial competition. Went to undergrad at Sam Houston State. So it was several members of our Phi Alpha Delta pre-law fraternity that traveled up there, stayed for quite a few days. And I actually came in first place. So that was very exciting. I was 20 at the time and a promising attorney. I wanted to go to law school. So to be able to have a first place win under my belt was huge for me. Number 2, and I don't know why I'm telling y'all this. I shouldn't. My mother always told me, don't tell people your fears, but I am very much so afraid of going into prisons. And most people are, but no, I have like a true phobia, if you will, about setting foot into a prison, a jail, anything of that matter. So for work or otherwise, which I guess is a good thing because I don't want to go to jail. But that's something that I just really, really have a phobia about. And I had a chance to watch with my own eyes they call it a kill, a chase, if you will. It was in Africa. I witnessed a pack of cheetah chase after zebra and topi, which is kind of the deer family. And I was in the middle of the savannah, if you will, and I saw the entire thing. It was literally feet away from me. It was the most exciting yet scary thing that I've ever witnessed. Which one is the lie?
You explained all 3 of them like we've done all 3 of them. You're the first person ever explained it like that.
I was an actor in high school. What can I say?
I can tell. Which one you gonna go with, Larry?
I'm still waiting on the lie. Sound like all those the truth.
Right. I'm gonna go with number 2, that you're scared to go into the jail because you have a criminal background. I mean criminal law background, and so I know that you've been in the system. You know, you've been in and out of.
I haven't been in the system. I take that back. I haven't been in the system. I know what you meant.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what this show is all about. We having fun and having a good time. We
I
mess
know
up,
no
we
other
keep.
way.
So which
Okay.
one is your lie?
I thought we were gonna give Minister Larry a chance to guess.
Okay.
Oh, y'all are one and the
Okay.
same. So what you say is what he says.
No,
I'm
not
going to
really.
say the second.
The second one.
Second one.
I'm
Okay.
going to go with the second as well. I think that may be the lie.
Okay.
So which one is the lie? Drum
Y'all are correct.
roll.
Y'all are correct.
Oh, you're right.
Yes,
Yay!
yes, yes. I
That was
absolutely.
really good. That was
Remember
really
now,
good.
I graduated from Sam Houston State, and we know in Huntsville you have the college and you have the prison. So, and the criminal justice, like you said, I'm a criminal justice major. So part of what we would do is go on prison tours all the time, and I always signed up for them because I was just so intrigued. And actually, at that time, I had ambitions to actually become a district attorney. That was something that I was looking into criminal law, and it kind of followed me into my civil areas of practice. When I was an assistant attorney general, I worked in the law enforcement defense division, and I was actually representing a lot of the wardens and correctional officers at the time, with various violations, alleged violations from inmates and such. So I would have to go into our TDCJ institutions monthly, sometimes weekly, and actually go to the grounds, the area where the alleged offense took place. And it just became second nature. I'm not the least bit afraid. It's just kind of
Oh,
scary.
okay.
It's kind of
I
scary,
can
but I'm
see that you
not.
wasn't afraid, but you still played it off really well.
Thank
you,
you.
yeah, you did that really good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have our blessing segment. So basically, we always ask our guests to talk about one of their blessings of the week. Not only one. I know we all are blessed in so many ways, but we want you to
Yeah.
talk about one of your blessings this week. So, what will be your blessing of the week, Ms. Dawn?
This is a wonderful question. So, I don't know if you saw my post on Saturday, but I was just driving and I heard a radio ad that there was COVID-19 testing at the Acres Home multicultural uh, uh, place. And so I just stopped by and I got tested, and I got the phone call today that I am COVID-19 negative.
Oh,
So that
wow.
is a big
That's a
blessing,
blessing.
and I'm very, very happy. And I thank God for that, because we know there's so many people that are asymptomatic and
Right.
don't know whether they have it or not. So, I suffer from allergies periodically, but I just didn't want to take anything for granted. And I'm so glad that I went and got tested. And thank you, God, that it is negative. So that's my blessing.
Oh, that's good. That's
What
definitely
about
a
me?
blessing. Yes. So, Larry, what's your blessing of the week?
Well, my blessing of the week has to be this past Sunday. I had the opportunity to preach my very first time by way of conference call. And because of the pandemic that we're going through, it was an experience. The very first time, as I said, and it was, God did get the glory through conference call. And so that had to be my blessing of the week, to have that opportunity.
Well, that's good. That's definitely a blessing right there. You overcame your fear.
Yeah.
Well, my blessing of the week is being able to see my students today. Some of my students were able to come up to the school to pick up some of their belongings. Now, as you guys know, we've been on lockdown for quite some time now, and I haven't seen my students since March, before spring break. So it's been a long time since I've seen my students. So me seeing them today really lit up my day. So that's my blessing of the week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which brings me to today's scripture of the week, which comes from Psalms 118, verse 24. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So I never take any day for granted, because I know it's a day that God gave us another day.
Amen.
If you guys who are listening or tuning in, if you guys would like to submit a prayer request, please click on the link below. All right, now that we got our praises out the way, let's keep the conversation going. So, for those who don't know Don Rogers, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I kind of delved into it briefly in
Okay.
my lies, my truths and my lies.
Yeah.
I have been an attorney now for 18 years. I graduated from my undergrad was Sam Houston State with inspirations of becoming a criminal attorney. And then I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law and found out that there are so many other areas of law. And I should probably be open minded to learning about all of them. After graduation in 2002, I passed the bar and I had a job waiting for me in Austin as an assistant attorney general. I worked there for almost 2 years. I was a little homesick because I'm native Houston, so all my family is here. Most of my family is here between Houston and Warden. And so I wanted to come back to Houston and see what jobs awaited me here. And I was able to get a job at a firm. It was a boutique defense firm. And I remember when I was hired on, there were the two partners and one associate and myself, and two like staff, if you will. And then it wound up just being me and the two partners for the remaining 4.5 years that I was there, which is actually a good thing. At the time, I didn't realize it, but it was a good
Yeah.
way for me to truly learn and understand. And it was so stressful. You know, I was working with some big giants and they had high expectations, and there were times I didn't think I could do it. But in that job for that 4.5, almost 5 years, I was exposed to a lot that most attorneys, having graduated only 2 to 3 years earlier, would have never had an opportunity to do. It was because of all that experience. I said, Dawn, why not try and see if you could do this on your own? So I opened up my own law firm, and I had the D. Rogers Law Group for about 8 years. And I'm really proud of that because I was a solo practitioner, but I kept my practice alive and I worked my hardest to make my clients happy, to give them the best counsel. And that's a lot of stuff. A lot of times people forget that attorneys are not just attorneys, but we're also called counselors of law. And so it's having those real conversations sometimes with people that don't want to hear it. And so I was able to hone those communication skills as well. And then I did decide to go back into the workforce, if you will. And I am currently a managing attorney at a firm here in Houston, or actually in Sugar Land. So that's kind of the quick rundown of my resume. But the entire 18 years, I've been what we refer to as a litigator, an attorney that is in court, that is filing motions, that is arguing motions, that is going to trial, that is very much so involved in the courtroom procedure of trying cases.
Oh wow, you have done a lot in the last 18 years, and that's really awesome. The things that you have accomplished within a short period of time, I should say, for some people that's trying to get to where you at. So you have done a lot throughout your career. How has faith played a part in all of that?
Oh, Denise, you have no idea. And a little background. I'm born and raised in the church. My church home, better part of my life was Buck Street Memorial Church of God in Christ, where my father is a deacon, my mother's a missionary, my grandfather was a deacon. I've got pastors in my family. We know from where our help comes. And so because of
Right.
that, whenever I've run into any type of situation, no matter how mad I get, no matter how much I may cuss, I still know that I've got to back it up and I've got to say, Lord, forgive me. Now let me talk to you. Let me get
Right.
it together because that's not going to help me. You're the only one who's going to help me. And I've done that in every leg of my life. And I knew to do that even as a child. Certainly as you grow older and you run into different problems that occur. And there's times where your parents they're not able to help you. There's certain things that you can't, go and tell daddy, and then he comes and makes the whole thing go away. There's only one father that I know to go to, and that's my Lord and Jesus Christ. And
Hmm.
so he brought me through, of course, the election, the March 3rd primary election that just passed, because that was a very taxing and tolling time in my life, as well as every other obstacle that I've had to deal with. So I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, well, that's good. That's a blessing right there. Mr. Larry, you're up next.
Ms. Robert, tell us a little bit about your current. does it entail?
So repeat that question one more time.
A little bit about your current position and what does it all entail?
Okay, so as a managing attorney, I currently have, well, due to COVID-19, sadly, the majority of my team was furloughed. So I'm praying that, everybody's able to come back and things get back to where they were. But I have a team of 19 that I manage, that includes attorneys and another office manager and our staff. And so it was kind of a really different experience for me because prior to getting this managerial position about 3 years ago, I had only known to be an attorney. Now, mind you, I had my own firm. So yes, I would have different tasks for, say, law students or, a secretary or someone who was helping me out, but I never had a team that I needed to manage. And so that really helped me to kind of work on my patience. I really had to work on my patience. I really had to learn how, which wasn't hard because I'm already a pretty empathetic person, but understanding that when people come into the office, it's not all about work. People come from different backgrounds. They have different things that are happening in their households that could have happened to them out on the street before they walk into the building that will dictate how their day will go. And so I have an option. I could, come down hard on that person because their attitude isn't the most pleasant or their work wasn't up to par. I can sit back and have a conversation just to figure out where their head is. And a lot of that helped me unveil that, you have some really good people that have really bad problems. And what you need in the workplace is someone who is not just, breathing down your neck, making life more difficult for you, but who is understanding and who will help you where you can. Now, does that mean I'm a big softie? No. I certainly know how to make the distinction between a team member who is probably having some difficult times that may be affecting the work and someone who just does not want to do the work. And we deal with that accordingly. However, I think that in a management position, you have to be able to make that distinction. It can't be all or none. There's a lot of gray areas. So the job I have is quite rewarding. I've learned a lot. I've mentored and I've coached. I love hiring in younger attorneys, new attorneys, and having them shadow me in court or actually shadowing them. Because I don't want another attorney to be just like me. I want you to create your own style. Every attorney, everybody has their own style, their own finesse, right? And so even though I think I'm wonderful, I don't want a mini me. I want the best you. And so that's part of what I do in my current position as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now I know I was digging into your bio, and I noticed that you done a work with a lot of organizations, and I was like, wow, you did this, you did that, you did that. You part of this organization, part of this organization. Tell us about those organizations for the people to know.
You know what? There's so many organizations that I'm a member of. There are some that I'm very, very active in, one of which being HBAD, Houston Black American Democrats. That organization is very dear to my heart. It is an organization with which I've had a role as an executive board, as a PAC treasurer. I like being involved in the different events that they have. That organization endorsed me during the primaries, and so they're a very, very big component in where I am right now. So I love HBAD. I love all of the organizations, but that's the one that I speak of the most because that is the one that I'm most active in. Now, when you're running for an elected position, sadly, you kind of spread yourself all over. And so that's what I've done. Now that the dust is kind of settled, and certainly with a lot of us being in the house way more than we ever anticipated, it gives me a chance to kind of lend myself to some of the other organizations that you've seen as well, so that I'm more than just a paying member, but that I'm actually involved and I'm actually participating in the different committees and in the different, the different types of events that they're throwing. But there's another organization that I'm very fond of, the Southwest Dems, for instance. They do have a wonderful platform. They do a lot as far as getting out the vote. For your viewers who may not know, I am a Democrat. I did run on the Democrat ticket. And so a lot of my organization's are more leaning towards the Democratic organizations. But I like to tell everybody all the time, the position that I'm running for as judge means that I'm fair and impartial. So, just because I'm on the Democratic ticket does not mean that, oh, you're a Democrat, then I'm on your side. No, no, no. We got to take a step back and remember that it's about fairness and it's about impartiality and it's about leveling the playing field no matter who you are. And so, getting involved in a lot of other organizations that have similar platforms as that is something that I'm interested in doing as well.
Okay, great, great.
I'm going to take a next question from one of our viewers. They want to know, Ms. Rock, what is it saying? Elected position. Okay, your elected position that you're running for, what qualifies you to become a judge beyond your law degree?
So I think that's a great question. So in order to be a district court judge, and I'm running for the 334th Civil District Court. For those that don't know, again, I won the primary election in March. And so that means that I now have to continue to run in November the 3rd for the general election. So in all of that, yes, you do need to be an attorney, but I think you also need to have experience. And you can have some people that graduated from law school and they passed the bar. So yes, they have that degree and they have that license, but have they actually done legal work? Have they actually been in the courtroom? Are they comfortable and familiar with courtroom procedure? Are they comfortable with other attorneys? How is the temperament? Are they able to deal in adversarial situations without getting upset, without getting mad, without having a temper tantrum, without making it personal? The answer to that is I am able to do all of those things because I have done that. Remember now, back in 18 years ago, it was 2002. And again, I'm a civil litigator. So in civil courts, a lot of the time, I would be one of the few Black women in those courtrooms. And a lot of times I ran into situations where I had opposing counsel that was older than me, that were men, that were not Black. And because they viewed me a particular way, I was oftentimes dismissed. I was told I didn't know what I was talking about. There have been times where I was hissed at. There were times where I was followed out into the courtroom and cursed out. And in each of those situations, no matter how much I wanted to go off, I had to be mindful and remember that degree that I worked for and those clients that hired me and keep my temperament, keep my cool. So I think that temperament is very important. You want someone who is patient. You want someone who is not going to rush you through your case. You want someone who is not going to judge you based on how you look, how you speak, how you talk, but on the evidence that you have in front of you. And that is who I am as an individual, as a person. And that's who I've been as an attorney.
Mm-hmm. Now I know that you were saying that there's a lot of Black females that's in the court system. I mean, in the as judges and stuff like that. Do that put more pressure on you?
You know what?
Going
So,
forward?
are you referring to our 18 Black women that were elected in 2018?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, because I will say that there has been an absence of a lot of Black women in the courtroom, be it criminal, family, or civil district courts, be it your county courts, be it your JP courts. Of course, there are some, but if you look at historically, there has been an absence of Black women. So when we had that wonderful election back in 2018, where we had these wonderful judges elected, I was inspired by them. And I was, incited to look at myself and decide that I want to do more and I want to do better and I want to see if I can help more people on a bigger platform. Like I said, I'm now managing attorney at a firm here in the Sugar Land area, and I have a team of 20 and I do the 19 and I do the best I can to help them and give them sage advice and kind of move things along as best as I know. But now can I be in a position to where I can help out more people, where we can open doors for more individuals in one way or another? Can I collaborate with other elected officials and help move mountains or open doors, whereas I may have not been able to before on my own? And so that was one of my motivations for wanting to run for judge. And so is there pressure? Yeah, because I want to be great and I want to do as well as these ladies are doing. And I want to make everyone proud who trusts me and believes in me and who voted for me. And, I think pressure is good. I think stress is
Oh
healthy,
yeah.
healthy amounts of stress. Don't drive
Healthy.
yourself
Yeah.
crazy. Don't drive yourself crazy. But it's what keeps us motivated and pushes us to the next level. So yeah, there is pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay. I think the next question down on the comment also has been question. It's already been answered. You answered that question there.
I talk so much they can't keep up with me.
They was asking to tell us about the position of the Harris County 334 Civil District Court Judge. And I
Okay.
thank you. If you want to add anything else onto that, tell us a little bit about the position.
Yeah, I do want to expound on that because a lot of people may not know what all types of practice areas fall within that particular court or those
Okay.
courts, because there are several district courts, 201 Caroline, and you look at your jurisdictional amounts. And so there's going to be certain courts like your JP courts that don't go above, say, $10,000. Well, there's other courts, though, that can go up into the multi-millions. So the court that I'm running for is a court that has very high jurisdictional amounts as far as damages. And when you think of damages, think of your monetary damages. Those are the type of matters that will wind up in my court. So if it's a matter that's involving your criminal uh, liberties, you being incarcerated, then that is not something that would wind up in my court. If it's dealing with something that is regarding your family matters, a divorce, your child custody issues, that would not wind up in the court that I'm running for. But say it's a matter that's dealing with your automobile accidents, your contractors, a breach of contract, a personal injury claim, anything that does not put you behind bars or deal with your family is something that could, for all intents and purposes, wind up in the courtroom that I'm running for. And so it's very vast practice areas when you think about everything that you have to deal with that could result in you getting a lot of money or having to pay a lot of money. Those are matters that would wind up in the 334th Civil District Court. So it's got a lot of different avenues that I would have to navigate. That's why we rely on attorneys to come in and argue and fight for their clients, but we also rely on individuals because you don't have to have an attorney in order to have a lawsuit, in order to bring a lawsuit or defend a lawsuit. You can walk in there on your own and plead your case or your defense and do a spectacular job. And so what I'm wanting is for people that may not have the opportunity to hire an attorney or just simply does not want to hire an attorney to have that level playing field and be able to, have their day in court and be heard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you, the big question, what is it going to take to get you that seat, girl? Because I want you in that seat. What is it going to take?
So keep praying and go out and vote. That's the number one
Right.
thing. Because this is an elected official, an elected seat, and so if everybody remembers that March 3rd election, and actually the days leading up to the March 3rd election
Okay.
in early voting that just passed. It seems like it was ages ago, but it was just in March. Everybody was trying to help people understand that voting is not just contained to what takes place in November. And many people think that when you go to vote, you go in November, you go because a president is running. And then after that, you don't have to go again for 4 years. That's simply not true. You have midterm elections that take place in between that. You have, like in my case, your primary elections. You have what's coming up in a couple of months, July, which is a runoff election. And we can talk about that. And so for me, in order for me to get this seat, I need for everybody to, with the same energy and enthusiasm they had, and I'm so grateful for in March, bring that same energy and enthusiasm into our November elections because this is a big one. We have our presidential races as well as Senate races. We have a lot of other judicial races, all the way from the Texas Supreme Court, appellate courts on down. We have races with regard to our just tax assessor, our county attorney, our district attorney. There are a lot of different uh, positions that are on this ballot. And so you want to do your research and you want to go out and you want to vote because you want to know and say that you had a part in something being great. And even if it's not great, even if it's a work in progress, you want to be able to say that you played a part in that work in progress because we're going to get there. We are. It's going to take a little time. Don't get discouraged. But for me, it's about people knowing, doing better, getting involved, reading, asking questions, uh, doing the research, finding out what you can, and then just going ahead and making the best decision that you can make. And that's what I'm asking that everyone goes out and does in November when I'm on that ballot for the 334th Civil District Court.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I think you kind of covered a little bit with my next question. You covered that a little bit. So many things are going around all over the city, and people complain about the things that they're not satisfied with, not happy decision that's being made around our city. The only way that we can make a difference or make some change is to vote. Is that correct?
Correct.
Get out.
So, because remember, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but there's a lot of things that happen on the local level that people just don't think about. And it's, again, with judges, unfortunately, sometimes people don't think about their judges until it's a matter that comes up and they realize how important the right judge in office truly is. They realize how important it is to have someone who is just going to take their time and truly, everything does not need to be a big rush. And I get it, judges are busy. There is a lot that goes on in the courtroom. There are a lot of cases. However, realizing that you have someone who is going to take their time and listen to you and get a real understanding of what the issues are before making a ruling and making a decision. And I personally, this is me, I'm speaking from my personal experience, have been in front of judges where you walk out of there and you're like, what just happened? Just like I stayed up, all night for that. I don't want that to happen to anyone else, not under my watch. And so people would think of it that way, that every single one of these elections, even though they may not see it, directly affects what takes place in their households, at their jobs, in their commutes, with regard to their civil liberties, with regard to their paychecks. All of this matters. The school board elections, the county elections, the local elections, everything matters. And so that's why I tell people, if that voting poll is open, if it's open, if you see signs outside the school that you drive by every day, if you see a bunch of signs outside the library that you drive by every day, that means that there's something going on. There's an election about us. Even if it's just a bunch of propositions, you should want to go in and vote for those propositions. I was excited to vote. I was excited when I became registered to vote when I was 18 years old. I liked the idea of, in my mind, I'm making a difference. And I know people want something that's tangible, something that's just standing there that they can hold and they can say, I voted for this woman and now I have this. But that's not always how it works out. Look at how God works. God does not always give us the blessings that we ask for, but that doesn't mean he's not working. And that does not mean it's not going to come eventually in some way, shape, or form. You want to be able to say, at least I do when I look in the mirror, Dawn, you tried. And what I want to encourage people to do is at least say, I tried. Now, if you don't know who you're voting for and you're just kind of doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I get that. That does happen sometimes. But now we have a large window of time. This is one of the unprecedented situations where most of us are in the house way more than we ever thought we would be. So pull out your laptops, do some research, read, ask questions, tune in to the Not So Christian in Me show.
There we go.
And
Exactly.
find out what you can so that when you do go into that poll, you don't feel as though, you're just kind of guessing and just throwing your vote away, but you can say, you know what, I actually made a difference.
Right.
Right.
So it is
Exactly.
important. It is so important to vote and to let everybody know every vote counts. Every
Hmm.
vote.
Yes.
That's so true. Every vote counts. For those of you guys who are tuning in, we're talking to Don Rogers, who's running for Harris County 334 Civil District Court Judge, and we're talking about the importance of voting.
Yes.
Please, guys, please go out and vote. In order for things to change, we all have to take a stand and vote. Feel free to drop a message in the comment section below, or if you prefer to call instead, you can do so at this time. The number is 832-271-0085. Let's break into our comment section. We have quite a few people that commented. Let me go through here. Well, you have a fan on here, Miss Ashley Rogers, Victor.
Oh, I know
She's
that girl.
on here. She like, go Don, Buck Street, preach sis.
That's my
And we
sister and one of my campaign managers.
oh, okay, okay. All right, we have Kevin Victor. He says Judge Don Rogers. We also have Miss Natasha Smith. She says, "What is the?" Let me see. Let me see if I can see it. It's at the bottom. It says, "What is the first thing on your agenda when you get into the seat to promote change in the judicial system?" Great question, Natasha.
Very good question. So, part of what I'm looking at is ways to help individuals who may not have attorneys feel better and more comfortable about representing themselves in court. And so, a lot of times, and this, listen, the adage is true. You do want to have an attorney when you go into a courtroom, regardless if you're being sued or if someone is suing you, because, attorneys we're trained to know the different intricacies of the procedural and the substantive law, right? However, say you can't afford it, or say you can't afford it, but again, you feel like you can do the better job, then you should have that opportunity without being frowned upon. So, what I want to do is work out a system to where when you go online, when you look at the court's website, it's just this all inclusive, everything you need to have frequently asked questions, if you will, platform for individuals who can get their questions answered. I don't want there to be any guessing games. I don't want anyone walking into court and saying, I didn't know. The other thing I want to work on is having perhaps a few more frequent, what we refer to as status conferences, so that parties can get a chance to speak with each other, actually meet each other. Now, obviously, with the way things are going due to COVID-19, there hasn't been as many in-person courtroom hearings as we're accustomed to. But this is excellent to use Zoom or even conference calls to where you can actually hear the other person's voice and figure out what it is that is motivating them. And I'm not necessarily talking about a mediation, because that's a whole different thing that I can talk about as well. But what I'm saying is that a lot of times parties and even attorneys kind of have this displaced frustration with one another because they haven't actually talked it out. And then it's once you get each other on the phone, or once you see each other face to face, and you realize, hey, we're just here doing a job. Let's see if we can make this job easier for the both of us, that things kind of work out a little bit smoother in the courtroom. So I want to kind of create those channels for parties. And again, regardless if you have an attorney or not, I feel that there is value in actually speaking to the other side. You all agreeing on different dates, instead of me just jamming them down your throat. Looking at your calendars and saying, you know what, this is a great date for us to have this deposition and for us to go to trial. So that's one of my biggest things, that I want everyone to feel comfortable in a courtroom. When you're walking into court and you see a team of big time attorneys, don't think that just because they're in court more frequently than you, that they're going to get the upper hand. I want you to feel as though you too have a chance to be heard. And I want to create that type of environment in the court. The other thing I want to do is just kind of have on site some available organizations or charities or something for people that may need it. Like I said, there's a lot of different practice areas that will come into that courtroom. And so there's going to be a lot of different issues that may arise. And if you're dealing with someone who just doesn't know what now, what next, I'd like to be able to have that information readily available for them so that you're not leaving the courtroom, again, win, lose, or draw, feeling, I don't know what my next step will be. I think that judges are there obviously to rule over cases and interpret the law and to put the most fair and impartial rulings possible. But I think that there's also opportunity for mentorship. I think there's also opportunity to teach and to help. So I'm going to use that platform for that as well.
Okay, we have time for one more question from our comment section, and it says, "As an attorney, you represent plaintiffs and defendants. Did you prefer to represent a specific type of client?"
You know what? So when I was working for the Attorney General's office and when I was working for that firm, when I moved back to Houston, I was doing primarily defense work. It was when I was a solo practitioner that I did the bulk of my plaintiff's work. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed both about evenly. And here's why. I was able to take the information I learned as a defense attorney and help apply it to what my plaintiff may have needed. And I was able to see those cases really flourish because I was not, listen, I don't believe in just telling people what they want to hear. I really tell them the pros and the cons of proceeding with litigation or with whatever their piece of evidence is, letting them know it's not that big of a gotcha moment or letting them know that this is huge, we're going to win, whatever the case may be. I had a wonderful opportunity to use both sides and kind of merge them into one. And I, even when I was representing plaintiffs, I still had defendants. And same thing, I was able to take some of the plaintiffs' work and kind of become a step ahead of the next person. The only downfall, though, of course, when you're running your own firm, I was doing everything. So I was in court, I was in the post office, I was at the copy machine, I was doing the punch holes. Like it was just a one-man show. So that was pretty taxing. But other than that, I think both sides really, really gave me a lot. Helped me hone my skill set, made me a more well-rounded attorney, and I'm really, really grateful for it.
Okay, good, good. Now let's talk about the millenniums. You know, we hear talks about them not going to go vote. And what are you planning on doing to help these millennials to meet or beat us at the poll?
Okay, so, and I didn't know this because, again, I wasn't a professional politician. I was someone who just, usually goes to work, does my job, go to different meetings and organizations, and that's it. And so then running for office, I had to become creative. And a lot of people were telling me, you know what, you got to go to churches, you got to go to churches, which is fine. I go to church all the time anyway. And so, I mean, I visited, remember when I met you all at you all's church? That's great. But everybody's not at church, and you are going to have some millennials that are not in church. You're going to have some Generation Xers, some baby boomers that are not in church. And so I learned pretty early on that I needed to be creative. I needed to meet people where they are. And so part of that was working with other people and trying to have some kind of community affairs. One of the things that I did was having something, one of my cousins organized this community event for me where we had people that were coming in and just listening to other entrepreneurs, young people, older people, everything from insurance, sales to a juice company and selling your own jewelry, but getting people out in that type of manner I found to be very, very advantageous. Going to clubs, going to the different bars and just introducing yourselves and having a real conversation. And you would be surprised, Mr. Larry, there were people, and I'm not talking about going during happy hour, I'm talking about being out there at 1 o'clock in the morning and having real conversations with people that are coming up to me. They're coming up to me and asking me questions because they care. A lot of times I think people underestimate our millennials. I think that millennials are smart and up and coming, and they're tired of being railroaded and underestimated, and they are wanting to make an effective change because look, we can't put all the pressure on our grandmothers anymore. Everyone speaks
Sure.
about the senior citizen vote, which is great, and I'm so very appreciative for that vote. My grandparents, may they all rest in peace, fought hard for all of us, to be able to vote as well as you all. But we can't let everything rest on them. We have to carry that torch. And so we're talking about millennials, but there's Generation Zs. What are they called? The Generation Zs. Those are the folk that's like under, in their early 20s or what have you. Look, if you're 18 or older, you can vote. 18. So whatever generation that is, that means that you need to take the effort now to get registered to vote, one. And briefly, can I give a couple of websites? Because I don't want time to fly by and me not provide websites on how people can, one, get registered to vote. And then I want to talk briefly about the mail-in ballots so that people can know
Okay.
to do that as well. So go to www.harris, as in Harris County, .harrisvotes.com. That's www.harrisvotes.com. There you'll see the link on where you can register to vote. There you'll find the link to where you can sign up for the mail-in ballot. Let me touch on that briefly. As we know, COVID-19, very unique situation. None of us have ever seen this before.
Mhm.
And so there are many people that have legitimate concerns about going to the polls with so many people, and we saw what took place during March 3rd. I mean, the lines were long. People were out there voting until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. It was crazy, but we were all together. People met each other in the lines, we're talking, we're laughing, we had our signs. It was a great opportunity to meet people and talk. Well, we don't have that right now. And so what's been taking place is that there have been lawsuits filed, and there has been a recent decision that because none of us are immune to COVID-19, we all have the susceptibility of being exposed to COVID-19. So as a result of that, you can apply for a mail-in ballot, and you can honestly and truthfully check disability as the reason for the mail-in ballot. Now, I printed out a copy of that mail-in ballot just so you can see. It's a one-sheet document that in front of my camera. It's not long. It looks like a lot of boxes, but not all of these boxes will be applicable to you. But I want people to go and read, and I want them to go, and it's Harris Votes with an
With
S behind votes. Thank you for that link, though. It's Harris Votes. Go there, print out the mail-in ballot, and mail it in. You have to print it out and you have to sign it. It needs a wet signature. It needs an ink signature. It's not anything you can just do online by pressing a button. You have to fill it out. You have to sign it. Get a 50-cent stamp, put it in the mailbox, okay? And the address is at the bottom of the page here, okay? And then you will get a ballot closer to the time of election where all of your candidates will be there in front of you, and you can comfortably and safely elect the individuals that you want to vote for from your home without fears and concerns of becoming sick. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you want to go to the poll, of course, do that as well. But I encourage people to go ahead and do the mail-in ballot, apply for it as well. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what to anticipate. And what I don't want to see is people not able to cast their vote because everything is shut down, or God forbid, this pandemic is at an all-time high, so we're just afraid to leave our houses. If you want to stay in your house, you should still be able to vote. So go ahead, go to that website that you also graciously put on the screen and print out the application to vote by mail. And then that way you can get the ballot not only for the November 3rd election, but also for the July 14th runoff election that's coming up as well.
Okay, good. That's good information. My viewers will appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, I know we talked about a lot of things, so let's do a recap. So just tell us why everybody should vote for Don Rogers. Go ahead. It's
So,
all you.
you know what? Thank you for that. So again, like I said, I've been in a position in my life to where I've had to work. I've worked on cases that wind up in this court. Over the course of my career, I've been lead counsel over hundreds of cases. I've traveled throughout Texas. So it's not only in Harris County. I've been lead counsel of cases in counties throughout the state of Texas. I am a licensed as an attorney, of course, for Texas, but also with the Northern Federal District Courts, Southern, and the Eastern Federal District Courts, as well as the Fifth Circuit Courts of Appeal. And so all of that is important because I have not only now the qualifications as an attorney that's been practicing in these courts, but also someone who has drafted appeals, briefed appeals, actually taken the cases to the very top levels with regard to the outcomes. And I think that's very important. I think understanding and knowing the courtroom is important, which I do. I think knowing and understanding people is very important. I know that, like I said before, when you've experienced what I've experienced and you've had people be not so kind, because again, as a younger attorney, I guess I looked younger, I don't know, but they like to take you for granted. So I had to work really, really hard in order to prove myself and to let everyone know that I am a force, that I'm very confident, and that I am going to represent my clients to the best of my ability. And I think that I've done just that. And so Harris County has gracefully and graciously elected me as their Democratic nominee for this seat. I'm wanting everyone to bring it all the way home. We've got the November 3rd election. Please don't stay home. Please do not stay home. Another reminder, we no longer have straight ticket voting.
Okay.
So what that means, before, you could click that little button at the top. If you're a Democrat and you wanted to vote for everybody Democratic on the ballot, you press that little button and everything checked off and you were out of there in 30 seconds. Well, we don't have that anymore. So that means, everybody, that you just need to have patience and just know it. You may be in there a little bit longer, but that's okay, because the outcome will not be a bad outcome. I want you to do your research, look me up. You'll see that I am an avid lover of people, a no judgment zone. And I just want to do the best I can to make Harris County and everybody who votes for me, and even those who don't vote for me, proud. Because it's not even about the people, the Democrats that vote for me. It's about me being the fair, impartial judge, giving everyone a level playing field when you walk into that courtroom, not making you feel foolish, not making you feel stupid, not rushing you, but helping you get the resolution that you came in there to get.
Okay, now how can we find you on social media?
So my website is www.dawnrogersforjudge.com. You can also go to Dawn Rogers for Judge, which is my Instagram page, as well as my Facebook. I have a Facebook campaign page, which is Dawn Rogers for Judge. Thank you for that. And so if everyone could follow me there, I'd really appreciate it. Of late, I've been posting information with regard to COVID testing and certainly opportunities to give back, such as mask giveaways or food giveaways. I was very fortunate to participate in a food giveaway the other day, and this was a tremendous event that was hosted by wonderful powerhouses of the community out in Baytown. But they have something like that going on every week. So whenever I can, I try to share that information. Also want people to keep their eyes out on other opportunities to find out more about the mail-in ballot. I have that listed on my Facebook campaign page as well. We're actually going to be having a meeting tomorrow. One of the hosts is the ACLU, where they'll be giving information and helping people truly understand why the mail-in ballot is a very feasible method to voting in July and November. So I want everybody to check out my campaign Facebook page for that information, and hopefully they'll tune in to learn more.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, we have one more segment, and it's called But Thank God. I will read a sentence, and you have to fill in the blank. All right, you ready? All right. I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian.
Oh, Lord.
This is a bonus one. This is a bonus question.
Now let me think. Let me think hard, because I have to be careful.
Right.
I was going to go sit down and watch TV, but thank God, because I have a job that I need to finish, so I'm going to go back upstairs to my home office and do that instead.
Okay. Well, we'll go with that one. We'll definitely go with that one.
That's the best one I can come up with. Work with me here.
I'll definitely work with you. Well, thank God you didn't watch that movie. You got
I'm gonna watch it, just not right now.
Well, you can watch it afterwards, after you finish your work.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Doug, for being our special guest. We pray that God will continue to bless you in everything you set your mind to do.
You. I really appreciate you both so much. Thank you for this
No
opportunity. Thank
problem.
you.
You have all of our support here at the National Christian Show.
Thank
Now,
you.
do you have any final thoughts or shout outs before you go?
I don't. I just want to thank you both so much. I was so excited when we finally got a chance to meet. You all have been avid supporters from the very beginning when I
Mhm.
first got an opportunity. I think we have quite a few mutual friends. So when I
Yeah.
actually had the opportunity to meet the two of you, oh my God, just your kindness, just sweet people just jumped out at me. So thank you. Thank you for every post that you shared. Thank you for every well wish. Thank you for every prayer. Thank you for this opportunity. And I just want to tell everybody, wear your mask. I was joking with you, Denise. I have not worn lipstick, red lipstick, in so long because I'm
Mhm.
wearing a mask anytime I leave the
Right.
house. So I say, wear our masks. If you want to make them into a fashion statement, go for it. I just want us to be our
Yeah.
healthy, happy selves, getting those negative COVID results, or getting the COVID results and them being negative were
Yeah.
was the highlight of my day because so many people are asymptomatic, and I just did not want to be a part of that number. So everyone, please stay encouraged. Please
Yeah.
stay encouraged. Do
Please.
what you can to be happy. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's legal, do it. And
I know, right?
let's stay optimistic. We're going to all get through this together.
Yes, we will. Thank you for those encouraging words. And I would like to thank everyone who tuned in today. If you guys are interested in being a guest sponsor or even like to submit your music to our show, please do so. And you can reach us on Facebook or Instagram at the Not So Christian to Me Show. Until next time, remember that no matter what you're going through, God will see you through. All right,
All
stay
right.
blessed. Bye bye.
Bye.